Welcome to the Week 6 live session. This is Wendy Finn. Today we are going to go through the last quiz and review Chapter 5. Grab your books if you don't have those out real quick. Okay, the quiz. When will a credit check approval most likely require specific authorization by the credit department? Answer, when verifying that the current transaction is with a valid customer. Number 2, which type of control is considered a compensating control? And that would be supervision. Doesn't prevent, detect, or correct, but it is a compensating control in hopes that it might prevent somebody from doing something. You know, sometimes people that are being watched are less likely to commit fraud. Which situation indicates a weak internal control structure? The AR clerk authorizes the write-off of bad debts. That's a lack of segregation of duties right there. Which of the following functions should be segregated? Opening the mail and recording cash receipts in the journal. That is true. This one's going more and more by the wayside as more and more payments are coming in electronically. Direct deposit, ACH, EDI. Okay, that was the quiz. Let me know if you have any questions on the quiz questions or the appropriate responses. Grab your books now. We're going to look at the expenditures process this week. And this is, cash leaving the door. Expenditures are payments, cash leaving the door. So controls are very important. Expenditures and payroll and inventory are really the three most critical areas when it comes to preventing fraud and preventing theft. So the most important control here is a three-way match. Making sure that there is a control in place, best if it's a automated control, where payments cannot be made without a three-way match. So that would be the PO matches the number of items that were received, and that matches the invoice. So both the quantity and the prices should match across those three documents. Additionally, you should have at least two, if not three, different departments here. Whoever is doing the receiving, you definitely don't want doing the paying. So you want to get your segregation of duties in there as well. You don't want somebody, receiving the items saying they only received two, so that they could take, one and then update the invoice to make that payment for only two. That would increase your likelihood for fraud. So definitely SOD there and a three-way match. Lastly, and this is a great new control, is positive pay. I love that banks can now do positive pay. So how that works is, let's take my company, IS Security Solutions. Say I run my expenditures, which creates a batch file of who all I'm either doing, direct deposits, more so for checks. This is really for checks. So I'm creating 100 checks that I'm going to be sending out to pay my invoices. I would take that file, that check register basically, that has on it the check number, who I'm paying, and the amount, and I upload that to my bank. Then as these checks come in, if somebody has changed the name on it or has changed the amount on the check, they won't cash it or deposit it. So that is really decreasing check fraud. So positive pay, I love that one. Flip open your books to page 213. Great data flow diagram there. As you guys get feedback on, not using the right symbol, not using quite the right flow, open to page 213. Really study that diagram. That is the sort of information, that I'm looking for. That is the layout that I'm looking for. So you can see here how you have the different arrows in the flow, and you can really follow that easily. So great process there. Then also read that text really between 213 on over to 221. The text then ties the corresponding journal entries and the accounting process flow. So I love how this book takes and kind of combines those of us that are visual learners with those of us that really read to learn, ties that all together very nicely. You have your visuals, you have your corresponding descriptions, you have the corresponding journal entries for those of you that are going into accounting. That is great. Ties it all together, and then on 221, you get the cash disbursements flow as well. So take a look at those charts, make sure you do that reading there, and then let me know if you have any questions on those processes, on the controls, and on that data flow there. All right. And then on page 223, I don't have this on the slide, but page 223 really gets into the flowchart. So you had the process flows there, but then if you want to get into the flowchart where we're using those flowcharting symbols, whether it's depicting a document or a database or a server, a report, a file, 223 really gets into that. So again, another great example of what I'm looking for when you're doing a flowcharting of the entire process from a system document sort of perspective. So take a look at that. I love how this figure 512 breaks up the purchasing department, the inventory controls, the receiving department, the accounts payable department. That just really gives me a great visual in my head of who is doing what, helps support the segregation of duties. You can see where the documents are flowing. And the awesome thing is this is relatively standard across all companies. You might have tweaks here and there. This is really how companies' processes are segregated, and a lot of the documentation and file flow is really the same. There might be tweaks here and there between companies, but by and large, this will give you great insight on how the company you're currently working for works, or those that you want to interview with. This text has a lot of flowcharts like that. This is one of the few textbooks I've seen that I think is a keeper, could really help you in the real world. If you're ever asked to automate or streamline a process, this is one that you might go back to look at some of these flowcharts. How should it be done? What are we doing? What are some of the symbols I should be using when flowcharting? So just keep that in mind. All right. Oh, see, and I even got ahead of myself there. 223 pulls together the manual processes and corresponding databases. Okay, last thing here, flip over to 235, and I touched on this a couple seconds ago. EDI, love EDI. It just streamlines the processes to an amazing level. I mean, you no longer have things going through snail mail orders. I think you used to have to mail in an order or call in an order and hope somebody's on the other end of the line to enter your order, and hopefully they enter it exactly right even though you can't see it. EDI, you in your own ERP system are filling out an order. You hit the transmission button. EDI picks up that order. A mapping has been built. They're typically relatively standard mappings, but vendors and suppliers always work together to make sure the mappings are working when they have a new client they set up on EDI. So you hit submit. That order is automatically received into the supplier. As long as everything matches up, usually there's controls in place on the front end to make sure that these are items we carry, that we have these quantities, prices seem right, and then depending on those, yes or no's, is how it's directed. If everything matches up, it'll go straight through to fulfillment. If there's a pricing discrepancy, it usually goes over to your pricing department. If there's an inventory issue, such as somebody wants 100 and we have 5, it usually goes over to your a different area of your fulfillment department. Depends on the company. One I work for, it goes to their customer service. So customer service reps can get on that. Okay, they want 100, we have 5. Do we have any anywhere else? Where are we in the production line? When could these be fulfilled? Maybe I have to call the folks back and see if it's okay if it's delayed a week or a day or whatnot. So, like I said, EDI just really streamlines the process. And then your payments can go through that way too. You know, once it's shipped, you can have EDI set up to automatically then invoice. So definitely take a look at 235. Again, this is the wave of the future. Let me know if you have any questions on that, and this would be a great place to share how your company is using EDI. If you have any favorite softwares out there, let me know that. I have a client currently looking to upgrade, and the one thing with software in general is price points, right? Of course, there's a Cadillac version out there, but what's a mid-tier version that really does everything you need it to do without maybe such a high price tag out there? It's one of the projects I'm currently working on for a client. So if you have any tips, here's an EDI package we love, does everything we need it to do without breaking the bank. That'd be great insight. All right. With that being said, Chapter 5 questions require an example. Okay, so the questions for this week require examples. The problems, when you get to the problems, so the -2 assignment. The -1 assignment, yes, examples for everything. -2 assignment. For problem 4, yes, you need examples. Problem 5, you don't need examples. When you get to it, you'll understand why. It's flowcharting related. So for the discussion questions, yes examples. For problem 4, yes examples. Problem 5, no examples. All right, that's it. Any other topics you'd like me to cover during the live session, just let me know. Any questions you have, reach out. I will get you an answer as soon as I can. Thank you all so much for your time.